So if we go back and we talk about their primary duty as management, what does that mean? And the regulations define what primary duty is. That means the principal, main, major, or most important duty the employee performs. Generally, that means it has to be equate to at least 50% of their time working has to be devoted to managing and carrying out those responsibilities. And management includes, but is not limited to, activities such as interviewing, selecting, training, adjusting rates of pay, scheduling, actually directing the work of an individual. Where we see a lot of litigation on this category is if you think about any type of food service establishment where you have a lot of assistant managers that are both responsible for managing the employees but also working the line and cooking the food. They have fallen prey to a lot of litigation over misclassification. So it's very important that their managers or their assistant managers is really where you see a lot of litigation, where someone is given the title of assistant manager, but they're really not directing the work of 2 or more full-time employees. They really don't have a say in how the business operates. They're really performing more of the manual work. That person then would be misclassified if they were treated as an exempt executive employee, and there's been a lot of litigation involving those types of situations. And the administrative exemption is one where someone is responsible for a major part of a business. You can look at the slide, but what we're dealing with is people that perform non-manual work, administrative work, as to a key part of the line of business. And when they carry out their duties, they have to exercise independent judgment and discretion in carrying out their duties. An HR director would fall into this category because they're in charge of the human resources part of a business. They might not be directly related to the heart of what the business does every day, but they're responsible for a department that is instrumental in the success of that business. And if that person is responsible for making decisions every day about how to deal with employee conflict, sort of being the gatekeeper to litigation, they're responsible for payroll, for onboarding, for recruiting, and they have to use independent discretion and judgment in carrying out their duties, they would fall within the administrative exemption. So you might have some individuals that do not meet the executive exemption because they don't necessarily manage other people, but they could fall into the administrative exemption. So again, as a general rule, whenever you're looking to see, hey, is my employee possibly exempt, you got to look at all of them and see where they might fall in. This administrative exemption is probably the most difficult exemption to prevail on. It's very muddy, it's very gray, and it's gray because of some of the buzzwords, some of the key words that you have to meet, right? The requirements about independent discretion and judgment, because it's a gray area. It's not really black and white in figuring out what exactly is the threshold to determine whether someone utilizes sufficient independent discretion in judgment.